Welcome to the latest edition of the podcast with Russell Simpson called Navigating. Today, we're very excited to welcome Dom Agace, CEO of Winkworth. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Bertie. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you on. There's a lot I don't know about Winkworth, and I'm really interested to understand more about the franchise model and the history.
So originally, grandfather was an estate agent called Mann & Company.
Okay.
That was in Surrey and became quite successful. And then he died quite young, and father and his brother, Jeremy and Simon, took it on and then sort of bought Winkworth, which was a private client company in Mayfair called Mann Winkworth in honour of the name, and is still today M Winkworth.
Okay, that's right.
And they sort of separated, and Countrywide was created from Mann & Company. So
really?
So there were a couple of forks and a couple of generations involved in the sort of creation of Winkworth, I suppose. So that started, and that was...
And that's your dad's dad?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So grandfather, yeah. So hasn't got any grandchildren involved yet, but yeah, that's probably the test, whether we can get to the grandchild being involved as well. But no, we're going for a while, and Winkworth grew from that Mayfair office. So he did a lot of work in the private client space, and so had a bit of business in America. He sort of saw, I think it was twofold really. One, he saw the franchising concept and how well it worked, and I think that was coupled probably with realising some of the difficulties of trying to run the business, work with his private clients, and manage obviously these talented people that sometimes would sort of threaten to leave as he boarded his flight. So I think he saw all of those coming together and thought, well, franchising is a great way. The rewards are there, and I can keep the standard and get the investment of quality people into the business. And so it was the way forward, really. And
so I think from reading, when you joined, there were 50.
Yes, yeah.
And now there are 103, you say?
Yes, exactly, yeah. And I think...
How's that? I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And it's sort of grown, I think... You sort of learn as you go, don't you? I think we don't try and grow too fast, which is probably, as a public company now, I should say we listed in 2009. It's probably not the music to the ears of the investors, but that there are other ways we try and grow. What we try not to do is to grow too rapidly in terms of number of offices, because it's very, we want to keep, I suppose because we're a family business, and again, something you'll know, we want to keep true to the values we are, and we want it to be a quality business, and I suppose for the long term. So, it's not, I suppose, growth numbers at cost of quality, and it is values. Very hard. And values, and it's really hard to, in this industry, to, it's the industry I know, obviously I don't know others, but it's very hard to find those talented people, and, they're just not to a penny. So you have to go with finding those people, and if you find them, you can grow, and if you don't find them, you can't grow, yeah. So I think that slightly shaped it. I'd say I learned a couple of lessons many years ago about that. And so that's very much it. And actually, if you grow that way, the offices you grow with, in our case, probably more than make up for growing with 5 that might be the wrong people. So, and we have this tricky dynamic where, it is a very long-term, so we're a long-term business, family-wise, but also long-term relationships with the franchisees of Winkworth. I've known a lot of them for 20 years. So, it's not there's not really a sell. It can't really be a sell, because fundamentally that might last you a year, but it's not going to last you 10 years of a working relationship where you're sort of trying to be on tread a common path to a sort of common goal. So, I suppose it's not we don't overly try not to oversell it, really. But yeah, but you're obviously second generation. How have you found it in your role?
We do want to grow, mainly because we want to challenge ourselves. And I think with great people, as you talk about, great people want to feel challenged and feel like we're going somewhere. So I think we're all on that same boat of not wanting to push too quickly, but wanting to keep ourselves excited and interested and challenged.
I suppose there's a natural cadence to a business, isn't there? And that's sort of defined by ability to recruit people. That's the speed the business can optimally grow at, isn't it? To fulfill the ambitions of, and if it doesn't, then I suppose if it doesn't, then people within it look elsewhere, don't they?
Well, I bet you've got a good grasp on it now after a few years.
Well, exactly. Well, I hope so. Otherwise,
was your before you started in your role, was that how is it differentiated between your role and your dad's role?
Yeah, I know. Well, I suppose our major change was for us was listing, because although there's still quite a large family holding in the company, obviously at least half it isn't, and that's quite a change, because obviously we moved from a family business to the disciplines of external.
Tell me. I mean, I'm fascinated when I read this. What was your reasoning behind doing it?
I think it suited the family, I suppose, and obviously mainly the sole owner being Simon Agace's father. He moved abroad. It was the time I moved to being chief exec. I suppose he got to sell some of his gains from his years doing it, and still be involved as not chairman and still have shares, and it kind of does. I mean, for a lot of public companies, it's about just having access to paper and lots of cash to go and buy lots of other companies, and I suppose that wasn't. We did look at other companies and didn't proceed with them for various reasons, because I think part at the core of it is we what we believe in is Winkworth. So it's tricky to go and become an aggregator if you sort of ingrained in believing in your company. And so it wasn't the defining reason. The defining reason was the family structure, and it suited. I think one needs to progress always progress no matter where you are. And I think it was a big change, and luckily there've been enough changes along the way at the right moments that have kept me fulfilled that it's going forward from a personal point of view, right? And that was a big one, and having other people who have got vast experience from other industries that can add that to you meant that I was sort of learning off new people. So to have their view on stuff, it was really good to learn. To keep learning, isn't it? You keep learning different viewpoints, and that helps you. Yeah, it just helps you develop, I think, is the answer. So I really enjoyed that. And then the other part is you do go around and present to fund managers, not all of whom live in Fulham, but as we were saying earlier, but no, fund managers, and they also see loads of businesses, and so they can query yours,
and you learn again from that.
And I quite enjoy being queried, I think, because again, it sort of checks it makes you think logically about what you do. So I think it was really good, and obviously it was a while ago now, and we've sort of been doing it for a few years, but.
It must completely change the reporting and the.
Yeah, I think people always say that's loads more, and there is definitely cost for being listed and all the extra things you have to do, and every report gets longer every year, and that there is all that. I mean, luckily I'm not the company secretary or FD, so in some ways I can just brush through that, but and carry on with sort of speaking to people. So I suppose that doesn't affect me beyond the fact it's a cost of business of being listed as much as it might do if you had a different profession as a public company. But no, it's good, and I suppose there were a few, and then they've sort of at one point everyone seemed to be a few companies were listing, and now they've sort of all aggregated. And they're less listed property companies, and I guess that's probably what happens in some market. But we're sort of happy ploughing our furrow.
What was that? What I have no idea about actually how you IPO. Was that?
Yeah, so I went right. So to list, you obviously have to do this whole due diligence in your company and make sure that you're telling the truth, and it's verified by every line you say is verified by. It's
audited to within its life.
Yeah, so we check that we all really are 1835, which is always tricky to find. All those things going back to Winkworth 1835, but we still managed to tick those off. But they verify everything, which is obviously a bit of a headache. But the other sort of part, I suppose, again, luckily not being in those departments, or slightly less, one removed of it all. But you have to go and effectively sell the shares. So we want to list a number of shares, so you have to have a free float of 30% to list. So you have to go and find someone to buy the 30% of your company.
Okay.
And I suppose the interesting thing was doing it in 2009, because people were like, why are you doing it? Because it's 2009. And so I remember someone being like, well, you must be bust. And then actually as a business, because the way it is, it's sort of a very durable business, because it's sort of ingrained, and so it isn't like it doesn't suffer as much in a cycle as perhaps a larger wholly owned network. So it was fine, and the reasons were there, but it was actually say why we weren't bust, but we did want to.
People were really like, this is too good to be true.
Yes, exactly. Like, why are you doing this now? But at the time it was timing.
It was the right time for you,
but different timing to our agenda was different, I suppose. To it's not that short term agenda; it's a longer term agenda at play, really. In
terms of durability, Winkworth is a big company, and I was reading earlier that I think you've sold 4,000 properties this year.
Yeah, I think,
and 6,000 or 7,000 rented.
Yeah, I think it's around that. I'd say probably 4,500. Yeah, 4,000 a year. Yeah, so it does, but it's sort of big and small. It's not as it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I suppose with each franchise, they probably feel like each little family business, but with the backing of. Yes, exactly. So the Winkworth name and network is big. Is the answer, isn't it? What makes it up are lots of small businesses. So it's not, and we're ourselves as the sort of franchising company we are a franchising company, and so we're not, again, the common perception obviously is people think we're sort of far bigger than we are, but that's because it is a large network that has
and it's a well-established name, and
it sells lots of properties like across the whole network. So its impact on the market, I suppose, is significant. But it is that balance of it's not. So it's funny, it's sort of working in a big company, and like, well, it's not. I don't have I don't have 1,000 employees. Right? There are 100 franchisees who own their businesses that employ those people. So luckily, I don't have to do the 1,000 employee conferences and stuff like that, which is probably a godsend. So so it's just that balance, really. And I think it's, you guys. So in some ways, it treads a middle path. I think. You guys are obviously boutique and focused in central London, and very prime business and family orientated, I suppose, and it's a very strong identity, I think, from where I am, of where you guys sit. And I suppose we have a similar thing, just in. Well, we cover a bigger geography, and I suppose we sort of our niche is that we're sort of between the two. We're not in the it's not managers. It's business owners, it's local businesses. So they're small. Hopefully that means that they have that sort of service and care factor of a business owner in each office. But that, I suppose overall it's a brand that looks. So it's sort of it's between the two.
You have the benefits of being
hopefully have the benefits of both. It's just it sits in a middle ground, which is hopefully a benefit to the people within. I suppose all it is it's competition for talent, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So we're sort of trying out there to find the best people to work with us in our model and show them we can offer more value than someone else. So there are, and I think recently the Americans have come over, haven't they? So which never worked for, but now they're working quite well, these models. So I think it's because fees have gone up, so there's more viable for an individual to make good money from being an individual. Or just culture's changed and people are more, it's that sort of role of the person is, people are prouder about it, and that's what people look for more and more than perhaps in the past, where it was very much brand first and maybe photos. I remember when I started, people just definitely didn't want to put photos up of themselves. It was it was deemed like that's not right. But now everyone wants that's front and centre with the brand behind.
How far and wide? You talk about Winchester.
Yes, yeah. So we're from Exeter. Dartmouth is the furthest southwest.
You must travel a lot.
Yes. Well, no, after 20 years of knowing everyone, I've done a lot of that travel. So.
You've done it, so you just could have a nice chat.
Well, I think it's funny, isn't it? 20 years of sort of catching up with people and being to all the offices, I suppose. I've known them all pretty well. So yes, I do. But I think people have different ways they want to, again, that's the sort of part of it. People have different ways. Some people want to be really involved and, right at the centre of everything and inputting, and that's great because we learn off them. And some people are just, I want to crack on, do my thing, go home in the evening, hang out with my family, and sort of go forward, and that's great too. You know, it's a sort of, we're not going to force people to come to like meetings or these things. If people want to come, they can come. If they don't, that's
case by case.
The beauty of owning your own business, right? You get that freedom to choose, really. So, do you have some good parties at Russell Simpson?
Do we have good parties? Looking around the room to see anyone here.
Exactly.
Well, it's been funny. I mean, for us, getting bigger is, I mean, every month is weird for me, because when I started there were 8 of us, and before COVID there were 14. So every birthday we'd all get together and celebrate on the night of someone's birthday, and when we got to 25, 30, 35, it started becoming every week there was another birthday, and sort of the same. The caterpillar cake came out from M&S, and so we've had to sort of keep evolving how we're doing things, and at the moment we're trying to have sort of quarterly events, and again, I was sitting next to one of my colleagues yesterday who's been with us for 16 years, and when we were smaller we had a few fun trips to Nice and and a few places abroad, Paris, and she was like, oh, come on, let's go to Ireland this Christmas. And the logistics of moving that many people around is different. It's daunting. So it's tricky, but I suppose for us we've only got 2 offices, but for me it's been amazing that some people don't know each other very well, which for me is quite a foreign experience, because I've known everyone. I suppose I've been there a long time, and while it was smaller. So I find it fascinating looking around the events we do hold, where you see completely different people nattering away for half an hour who really only met each other once or twice. So it's really important, but then everyone's so busy. So to actually get everyone together that regularly is quite tricky.
And you are growing quite quickly, so always see new employees coming on board. So that's a proactive thing? Is that you're sort of pushing?
Well, it's been, I think, I mean, one of the great problems we've had in the last few years is we get asked into a lot of properties, and we find it difficult saying no to things. We try and give really honest advice, and sometimes that means they go with other people. But if people want to come and work with us, we really want to provide them a great service. And my worry is, I think it's quite easy to take things on and then be overwhelmed and overloaded and not provide the best service. And so we've grown completely out of organic necessity, that lots has thankfully come in, and we've wanted to provide a good service, and and we need more people to help. And I think the funny thing for me is, as we've grown, and particularly since we've rebranded a couple of years ago, we've had more people being interested in coming to work with us, and the conversations have been different. And I think we've hopefully presented our values and who we are a bit more clearly or more currently through our marketing and our website. But yeah, I mean, interviews for me are hilarious. I think I'm probably the worst interviewer in the world. They're just nice chats. Recently I've interviewed someone, and he said, well, if you want to formally interview me, I said, well, that was an interview.
I'm done.
We're done. That was great.
Someone said that to me once. They were sort of, I think that's because that's the whole thing in our business, right? So how do you commit to, partnership for 10, 20 years with someone over a coffee? Right? What are you looking for in that person? And I suppose, I think we were talking about it previously, and it is something where it isn't really necessary. Well, our friend says it's the sort of 20% rule, isn't it? You look for where, you're not looking for you're not looking for someone who ticks every box at A star. You're looking for someone who ticks those boxes, but also has that personality that fits all the values of your business. And people call it different things and what that measure is, but really it's getting on with someone and thinking that they share your outlook on how things want to be done, isn't it? I mean, I think interviews,
those values are, and it's, I suppose for us in our area, we know quite a lot of people who we've already done business with. That helps a lot in your relationship's already developed, and you've seen how people interact on viewings or when they're in a tough situation. I mean, we're opening up an office in Mayfair, and we're interviewing for that role at the moment. And it's really difficult because we don't know the people over there as well as we know the people in our area. and you're committing to someone for 10 or 20 years. I feel the same. I mean, it's a different model, and obviously they're free to leave whenever they want. We would. I mean, for us, it's a very long term thing, and I hope that we can try and if we find great people, we can try and keep them motivated and secure and happy and excited to remain with us for a long time. You are married to someone who works with you.
Yes, I know. I was thinking of bringing that up when we were talking about that validation.
Yeah.
I was like, God, okay, there's my wife, obviously.
Did you meet her before she... How did it work? Did you meet while she was there?
So, funnily enough, her father had known my father for 40 years.
Oh, really?
So, I never met her, weirdly. Anyway, they were great friends. And her father was like, this lady over there is the number one salesperson in that company, and you should met her. So I did that, and in the process sort of tripped up and got married. But no, it was sort of that's
great.
So she's our she's our Fulham franchisee, and is fantastic good at it. And it's not the same as working in the same. I mean, we do talk family, and ours are, I suppose, brothers and sisters. There's no marriages, and it's a very different business. So I don't run her business. Obviously, it's her independent business under the Winkworth guys in Fulham that she runs with her business partner Georgia, and they do a fantastic job. Such an amazing thing to have in a family, to be able to be involved in that. You sort of cling on.
Why is it amazing?
Well, I suppose it's just...
It is amazing. I agree.
Yeah. Why is it amazing? I think it's amazing because you get to work in a place that fits you, isn't it? So you don't work in a place where the structure is something you're having to adapt to. In a family business, it is ultimately what you've grown up with, right? So it's
did you come into a... I mean, I suppose for me, I came into a place that it kind of felt like sitting down at Sunday breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same values were, whatever your values are at home end up being the values at work, and
I think so.
It feels very comfortable.
Yeah, and obviously amazing opportunity as well. I should also add, the opportunity to be able to say when I was, coming out of university with a politics degree, working out what I was going to do with life, and to be able to say, you need to come and be here for a bit was but that's a pretty amazing thing for someone to be able to offer, their son or whoever it is, isn't it? So I think there's that, and I suppose why everyone wants to own businesses is it's freedom. I mean, you probably work twice as hard. Everyone owns their own businesses, but I suppose there is I think that's it. I think if you ask lots of people, and I speak to lots of people about it. Because that's the whole thing, really, isn't it? I'm sort of trying to speak to people about owning their own business, and it's not all money. It is having an element of freedom of being responsible to yourself. I think is why people love to own their own businesses, isn't it? Even if that means you work longer hours, people feel it's sort of better because they're not stuck in something they don't have that problem. Yeah, they're not disagreeing with someone and stuck.
Yeah. That's you can shape what you believe in and.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and maybe I think all companies are probably now changing, aren't they, to be more employee focused, to understand that's the big driver in life, probably, isn't it? As we move through, I think that's the culture's moving that way, isn't it? So no longer is it the sort of command and control companies of old. It's the power of the employee is pretty much foremost, and making sure they're comfortable is foremost. So I think it's. Yeah, small business is one, but I think lots of companies in our space are now trying to recreate that in their own businesses.
Interesting. Before I let you go, do you think your kids will ever join?
Yeah.
Would you like them to?
Exactly. Well, there's a Winkworth franchise, isn't there? So will it be third generation? Yeah, I guess that's third generation. I don't know. We'll see.
They're going to be very surrounded by it.
Yes, they will be surrounded by it. I know. It's funny, isn't it? I've had my... because I've had my nieces and things in for work experience, which obviously was where, like you, I was doing the paperwork in the basement at some point in the university holidays. So I sort of looked at them and I thought that's interesting. But whether they will or not, I guess time will tell. Yeah. But if it's what they want to do and get into, then brilliant. And if it's not, fair enough, I think. It's the only approach one can take.
It is the only one, yeah. Thank you so much for coming and having a chat. It's been fascinating.
Yeah, no, really good to chat to you. And good to see you. And hopefully, we'll do it again sometime.
I hope so. Thank you.
Cheers, Bertie.
Thank you.